everybody, I am the LightningTurk and welcome back to another Supremacy 1914 role-playing round. I got a couple of people with me in the 1793 role-playing round. I'm significantly louder than I am before. They got to hear what I sound like before I fucking record things. Anyways, yeah, this is the 1793 round. It has been a ways in. We're actually nearing day 30. We're at day 27 of the RP. I think we started officially around day 10 or day 15. I don't remember the specific date. I think it was something like 10 days was the land swap, and then day 15 was when you can start, or more correctly, day 18 was when you could start declaring war on one another. So yeah, I am playing as, you know, your humble Imperial Ottoman Empire, the great and powerful. I was actually a little bit larger than what I started as. I mean, like, I was larger before in the beginning of the RP. However, I have slightly nerfed myself in that I've given up Egypt to a player, so he's able to play as my vassal. I will be giving up Tripoli, which is basically the 11 provinces of Libya up here. Yeah, those will be played by other countries in an attempt to nerf my unimaginable, uncontrollable power. My just sheer thickness in size. Anyways, the Ottoman Empire started out with Algiers, the basically the Eyalet of Algiers, and Ottoman Romania as vassals. However, I've been able to weaken the Russians by recapturing the Taurida Governorate. It's essentially turned into the Crimean Khanate again. I've given up 2 of my provinces in order to establish a Principality of Serbia, which will be played by a new player if he is able to apply in the next day or so. We have the Eyalet of Egypt down here. So normally, historically speaking, Egypt was able to break free in around 1815 or so. We're only in 1801. However, it's been more useful for me, as I don't really have any use for those provinces, to be honest. And then I've been able to gain Morocco as a vassal state, which was just fantastic. So now we can just invade Spain together. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say nothing. Nobody heard that. I'm just going to cut that out later. Anyways, moving on. This is the condition of the map. We have the British Empire, who had actually started the round as more overpowered than me, in that they had the entirety of the American continent under their control. They had Quebec as a vassal state, they had Ontario, they had the northern colonies, and then the southern colonies as essentially just colonial vassal states. However, everything started to come apart with the southern states of America declaring their independence, which they were able to do so without significant bloodshed. And they were able to also conquer both Spanish Florida. They were able to get those 2 provinces, and I'm assuming they're eventually going to be able to take the southern provinces of Orlando and Miami. So they're going to have a lot of parties. Also, they were able to conquer the French provinces over here towards the edge of the map, which were historically French in that, you know, the Louisiana Purchase and those territories. I do believe the Americans were able to purchase that. Northern America continues to stay as the northern colonies, or essentially New England. I don't know if they're going to declare independence or anything in the near future. However, they are a formidable wall against the Southern American state. Up here we have Ontario and we have Quebec. So the Quebec player actually went inactive and left the ground. Because he went inactive, we were able to just make a decision on what would happen to those provinces. So we got a new player in. Shoutouts to the Lazy General, and shoutouts to Scanty Chunk, which is the Dominion of Canada. So essentially, Ontario is in the process of RP negotiation with Britain in an attempt to gain back Quebec. So they're basically going to divide those provinces accordingly amongst the empire. Moving on to Britain proper, the British Isles haven't really changed at all. Nothing much has happened with Denmark, I think, other than the fact that the Danish relinquished control of Norway to the Swedish. So basically, Norway went from a Danish vassal to a Swedish vassal. Yeah, that sounds great for the Norwegians. Moving on to Central Europe, you can see that the map looks significantly more different than what it looked like on the first video I recorded about this RP. And that is because the Prussians were able to absolutely dominate in their attempts to expand. So they first started out with capturing and conquering the little two-province nation of the Netherlands. The Dutch became Egypt proper. And then they were able to conquer basically just Strasbourg and Alsace-Lorraine from France, as well as extra territory, just leaving France in a very vulnerable position. I can't fucking speak today. But yeah, the Prussians are what is now resembling the German Empire after a significant victory. They look sort of subdivided. However, I do believe that Prussia will be intending to, I guess, expand the German realm or unite the German states, which means there's going to be more work on me to start land swapping into other countries. Yeet. Why do you respond to everything? Because... So yeah, yeet. We haven't really heard much from the little minor states of central Germany, as in Hanover, right here, the Saxons and the Bavarians, other than the fact that Bavaria, Saxony, and I do believe several other states around Austria have become more or less spheres of influence for Austria. They've entered the Austrian sphere in that the Austrian Empire has established a newish, more or less the revival of the Holy Roman Empire, which is, I guess, his attempt to just lightly annex those territories into the greater Austrian sphere of influence. Yeah, moving down to France, I feel bad for the French Empire. The French are currently in deep doo-doo. They're locked in civil strife in that they lost their American territories. They did conquer the northern regions of Portugal, those two northern cities. However, they were unable to win a war against Prussia proper. That's why they're currently in some sort of civil war. Their king is unknown. Their leadership has abandoned them. Could it be a revival of Napoleon? I don't know. It's 1801. We're sort of waiting for the guy to show up, but it might not be. I guess we'll have to find out soon. Spain started out pretty strong. They were able to retain control of at least a remnant of Florida, in that they have two provinces, two fish provinces, which is, needless to say, wonderful. They were also able to retain control of Naples for a time until they were invaded by the Italians, or more correctly, the Savoyans. The Savoyards? Yeah, in an attempt to unite Italy, to an extent, Savoy entered in alliance with Austria and were able to wreck the shit out of Spain. They were able to give Naples to Austria and were able to capture Brindisi and Reggio, essentially kicking Spain out of the Italian peninsula. However, the Spanish still control Sicily, so that might be a cause for concern for the remainder of Italian states. And I do believe, yes, that is right, we do have another war, in that Venice has declared war on Spain. Venice has written, Sicilia will always, more correctly, Sicilia has been held by Spaniards unjustly for far too long. The island has always been a melting pot of cultures, for different cultures, new ideas, and differing perspectives. However, it has always and shall always remain, first and foremost, Italian. So yeah, they have declared a war against the Spanish colonists, and they will oust them from Palermo. So Spain, you're out of luck, my guy. You gotta deal with that, bro. Good luck to him. Moving on to Portugal, in that there is a noticeable lack of Portugal on the map. So Portugal started out pretty strong, however, inactivity and relative AI status led to an Algerian crusade, a jihad, if you will, against the Portuguese in order to reconquest Iberia, or the Reconquista. The Algerians were able to capture Lagos and Lisbon, and Portugal is no longer a country on the map. The territory that Portugal did have has been converted to a Principality of Serbia. No real expansion from the Central European states significantly, aside from Savoy, obviously. However, they have been given these provinces to the south, right here. These regions are essentially untouchable regions. In order to promote historical accuracy to an extent, countries such as Prussia, Bavaria, and other like minor one province or two province countries should be buffed in an effort to increase their resource production and give them a significant fighting chance against the other countries on the map. Personally, I'm not really the biggest fan of this sort of thing, but you know, I wanted to try it out and it's been working pretty well so far. So maybe it should be. Maybe buffing provinces should exist for future RP rounds. Maybe. Maybe not, but maybe. Anyways, moving on to the Polish-Lithuanian Empire, as well as the remaining countries on the map. The Russians started out a lot larger than they are right now. They lost several wars. They first lost control of the Taurida Governorate, which is Caucasus right here. They've become the Crimean Khanate, as I discussed, so they're no longer a Russian-controlled vassal, meaning that we now have a buffer state between the Ottomans and the Russians. Then, more or less at the same time, they waged a war with the Swedish Empire. The Swedes were intent on recapturing territory that they had lost in wars prior. So they were able to take back Tallinn, as well as Valmiera, and the Norwegians took the long-ass Karelian name that I will not even attempt to pronounce. Yeah, so now Sweden is strong. Its vassal has 2 oil provinces. Sweden's strong, like honestly. Sweden is life. Shoutouts to the Swedish player. Moving on to the Polish. So following this conflict, the Russians attempted to attack the Polish in essence for some sort of retribution, or in order to expand on at least that front. However, they lost that conflict terribly and were you know, kicked out of 3 provinces over here within the Lithuanian region. So they lost a wood province, a double grain, and then another wood. So honestly, Russia's out of wood, my guy. Like, I feel bad for you, son. Yeah, the Russians are currently attempting to make a comeback. They've moved their capital from Moscow to Saratov in an attempt to at least keep it safe. As people who are in the round know, if you lose your capital in a conflict, you are automatically kicked out of that war. If you are the war leader and lose your capital, you automatically lose that war and are able to say nothing while the enemy is able to enforce his demands completely and utterly against your people. So yeah, this is what the RP looks like right now. It's looking pretty solid. We're currently on day 30. I feel like this RP can hold out for another 30 days at least, especially because the Austrians have declared war on Switzerland in an attempt to bring them into the Holy Roman Empire once more, breaking the Treaty of Westphalia, and in order to reestablish their hegemony over the region of Central Europe. So there's some colorful stuff going on. Hopefully we can get some more information on certain conflicts brewing, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.